Yes.
Well, that's quite surprising, given that the timer had just run down to 0. Also, your camera is making you look like you're about 5 years old. You clown. Good evening, everybody. Welcome along to a dab of the Train Sim World 2, where we're taking the Dash 8W. Sorry, the C40-8W. Out for a maiden voyage. For those of you who don't have it already, happy Thanksgiving to those of you who give thanks. Hope it's happy for you. Obviously, the timing of putting out a live stream where we're covering American content, which doesn't come along very often on an American public holiday, is maybe not the best piece of timing we could have gone for there. But hey, you know, that's a thing that occurs, and blame Mike. So there you go. Why is the banking comp not working? There you go. Let's start off with this, because this is quite a common one. We're going to cover a lot of the questions that you've got.
Why is the banking call not working?
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, that should be working. So
all right, well,
let's make a note of that one. And
no, we'll give it a try, and you can find out for yourself. You'll be able to see. There you go. Yeah, right. Good. Okay. What are we doing then, Matt? What's the plan?
Right. So I thought we'd have a quick look just around the outside first at the what there is in the pack, and then we're going to start off, and we're going to do a bit of this eastbound coal scenario, which gives us a bit of a run with the loco, and I can talk you through what the other scenarios are about. So 3 scenarios in the pack: eastbound coal, westbound climb, and slippy descent. So the scenarios in this pack really focus on the eastern slope, which is the steep bit. And managing your descents down and managing your climb up. Westbound climb is in the rain, so you've got lower adhesion. Slippy descent is in the snow, so you've got even less adhesion. So you really need to learn to practice to manage your descents using the dynamic brake and to use the air brakes accordingly. Otherwise, you are likely to have a runaway train or worse. So yes, this is really about focusing how you go up and down the eastern slope. Service mode wise, in the timetable there are, as well as the C40 working on a lot of the existing services as well, there are also some services which are new with the C40 pack on Sandpatch grade. So they are, if you search for them, they are U877, which is by and large a copy of U876. There's a few subtle changes to it, but this gives you a second run in the day with quite a different consist, with 4 leading locos. Where you do the run up to the mine and back again, and the run up to the mine and back again has been changed slightly from where it was. People were confused because you had to back up to a GB38 on the branch line, and they got confused by that, and it confused the game actually as well. It put the end of train device in the wrong end, so we've changed that, and it's now just a straightforward return. In reality, you back up to a caboose, but there isn't a caboose in the game, so. So that's some of the services, and then there are other ones I can't remember what the names for. So there are other services which use the coal. Are they these ones? No, they're not. Okay, I'll have to go and find out. Remind myself what the. Oh, it's N4. It's N4. These ones. If you look for N4, these are the new coal services.
Right.
These use the new wagon. So this pack comes with a 3-bay hopper. So these then use that 3-bay hopper. So you've got loaded trains going eastbound and empty trains going westbound. So that's the new services. In addition, obviously, you can use it in any of the existing services as well. So you've got quite a lot you can do with the C40. But we're just going to go ahead and run eastbound coal. It has its own journey as well, as usual.
Right, Jack, now to cover something else, because there's another burning issue going on at the moment. That's the Class 52, and I think the Class 33 are not unlocking. That's just on Xbox, isn't it? Is that just on
I believe that's just on Xbox, yes.
We've got the fix done. It's going to roll out as soon as possible. I don't have an actual date for you, but we know we fixed it. Wait for the fix to come along. We don't know why it happened. There was a misconfig somewhere, and it completely slipped us by. So thank you for your patience while we resolve that. You don't need to do anything at all. There'll be an update that gets that resolved. There you go.
There you go.
I'll repeat that again later on when it inevitably comes up again. There you go. Are there any new wagons that come with this?
There are indeed. Let's go and have a look at one of them. Well, the one. It's, the one new wagon is this 3-bay hopper. So, yeah, just check the line here. This is the new wagon. This is a 3-bay hopper. The one that came with the pack was what's called a Bethgon, which has a very different underside. It's a much more modern wagon. This is an older wagon.
Right.
So this gives you a different type of coal wagon. Coal is quite predominant on this route, so it felt like an appropriate thing to add. Yes, a new 3-bay coal wagon.
Okay, and is that usable within the scenario planner as per usual?
There are formations which would include that as well. Yeah, so using
Okay.
the C40 and the hopper. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So look, quite a few people have spotted that we've reused the same brilliant sounds. No Buffalo sports fan. I'm not biting on that one. The same sounds as the AC 4400CW. Yes, we have. No, that's a perfectly astute observation to make. Why is that, Matt?
Well, it's a twofold thing. One, getting access to sounds in the States is continuously proving to be difficult because getting access to recording trips for the Class 1 railroads is, due to safety regulations, is tough because we're not in the rail industry, and therefore it's difficult. We're working on ways we can try and improve that. We're getting closer relationships with companies, but we're not there yet. Second problem is obviously there's a pandemic going on at the moment, so just getting anything at the moment is proving difficult. So that's just making it that much harder. So that's why this has not got perhaps the sounds we would have liked on it.
So yeah, so I mean, you can say, okay, that's the reason. You can say that's the excuse. Either way, we do have to make use of what sound we can get hold of. Now, here's where you can come in. If you have access to sounds for locos that we have in the game where we are replicating sounds from elsewhere, get in touch. Send either Matt or me a direct message via the forums, and we'll have a longer conversation. We are very keen to have authentic sounds as much as possible.
Oh yeah.
But especially if you are based in the US, better still, you're based in the US and you work on the railroad, then you may be able to help us out significantly. So do get in touch, and a longer conversation is there to be had. So yeah, there you go. That's the long and short of it. Is I don't who's Anthony Wood? Do you know Anthony Wood?
I know Anthony Wood, and he is someone that we are talking to. We haven't been able to come to any.
Provide more context for those who don't know Anthony Wood.
Anthony Wood, Searchlight Simulations.
Kind of American train sound enthusiast / expert.
He's also an engineer on the railroads as well. But he's Searchlight Simulations, and they recently released the Canadian Pacific AC 4400CW for Train Sim 1 on Steam. Knows his stuff and has access to a good library. So he is someone that we're talking to. We haven't got far enough along yet to actually, get that into the game or see where we can go with that. But yes, we are talking to Anthony. Top bloke.
Liam, the same is true for Deutsche Bahn sounds as well. Get in touch if you can help, or if you believe you can help, and we're all ears. What about a better horn? Again, get in touch if you believe you can help. That's going to be the standard the standard answer, because we only have access to the sounds we have access to. So if you happen to have a Dash 8 horn in your back garden shed there, and you can do us a variety of recordings of it tooting away, then you're our guy. Give us a go. Come on.
Yeah, recording US horns is notoriously difficult, so we're actually looking at a number of other options for recording horns in general, because they are so loud. You've got to record them. If you want to get a full toot, you need to be a fair distance away from them so that you don't get breakup. So we're actually looking at some other options for how we can expand our horn library. Yes, hopefully we can make some progress on that more easily. But yes, for traction train sounds and just how trains work in general, you guys can see what's on the roadmap now, so you can see what's coming up, and if you can help, put your hand up. We'd love to hear from you.
Is there going to be a C40-8 on the livery designer? This one, right?
Should be on there.
Yeah, should be there now.
Yeah.
There you go. Hooray. Is this on PC or on a console? This is on PC. Are we on PC?
I'm playing it on PC, yes.
Okay. We ought to mix it up once in a while. We see comments, routinely from people saying like, "Oh, why won't you ever show it on console?" It's only because it's a hassle to show it on console. Because obviously we're all doing this from home, so this is not what the Dovetail office looks like. No. So having access to consoles to stream from is not straightforward, but we can make it happen on occasion.
I've got an Xbox dev kit here that I can use. So yes, we should definitely be doing more streams on the console. Totally.
Yep. Has the micro roadmap update happened? No, it hasn't. That's waiting for me, and I'm waiting on a few last pieces of information. Fingers crossed, touch wood, make sign of warding. I'll try and get that done tomorrow. What about a new bell? What about a new bell? Well, I'll tell you what. If you were, say, for instance, to have access to the sound of a bell, and you had the recording facilities to make that happen, why not get in touch with us via the forum? Either Matt or myself, send us a message, and we'll have a longer conversation. This is a universal. This goes across the board. If you think you can help us with sound by sourcing the real thing, get in touch and we'll have a longer conversation. Scotty plays the triangle. Does that help? We'll put you in the back car, Scotty. You can keep people amused with your rhythmic dinging. Right. There you go. For scenario planning, can train go into siding by themselves if there's a schedule conflict? Well, that's a no. It's not that clever, unfortunately. How about RHDR? Well, how about it, Matt?
The Romney Hythe and Dymchurch Railway. You should make your suggestions in the usual places on the forums. That would be really interesting because it's a totally different style of railway. But yeah, if you've got suggestions, put them in the forums where all the other ones are.
It's a route.
The Romney Hythe and Dymchurch Railway.
Where? Which country is that in?
It's in the UK. It's down south.
Is it?
It's even further south than here, yeah. And it's really interesting because they're almost like they're big ride-on trains.
Is there a different horn for this, or is this the AC4400 horn as well on this?
AC4400 sounds.
All AC4400 sounds on this one.
Blowing the horn now.
Oh, yeah. See, I can't hear it from here because I only get pictures. I mean, they're quite nice pictures, but they're pictures nonetheless. Callum says the team did a great job on the weathering, both inside and out. Actually, I've noticed that on a few we've done lately. Is that the cab weathering has come up really nicely.
Yeah, the team have been really stepping up on weathering. You know, there's a lot of feedback we've had from people saying make these trains look like they're used on a daily basis, and we share that. And so the team have been trying to understand how that is and how to replicate that, and it's getting better and better now with every release, and the trains just look so real now.
Yeah, it's not the same locomotive, James. It's similar. There are an awful lot of the same parts in the real thing, but it does have a distinctive look to it if you go into a bit of attention to detail.
Yeah, so the Americans have standardised a lot of their parts. You'll find that fundamentally their American locos have either got what they call a standard cab, which just looks like a GP38 or an SD40, or they've got this, which is what they call a comfort cab or a wide cab, hence the W in C40-8W.
Is that so? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So this is the wide cab. But then what happens is that's a shell. So you'll find they've got different consoles inside. You'll find that they've got different trucks on the bottom. So these are what they call C40 trucks. C trucks, hence the C and C40. And these are different to the AC4400 quite significantly. They're older. The AC4400 has a big toolbox all the way back here somewhere. So there's differences on the exterior, the radiator grills, the fuel tank. Actually, while the fundamental shape is very similar, there are tons of detail differences in there. Tons of detail differences.
Gotcha. Someone just asked, why is the Class 377 not in the livery editor? And that's because it's part of Preserved Collection. We will be adding additional locos, trains, rolling stock to the livery editor over time. but none of the preserved collection stuff, I'm pretty sure none of it works at the moment. But we will be adding some. Adam's team are going to be working on that. So we'll have more information along those lines when we have that information. James, are we playing on PC? Yes, we are. Yeah, no, definitely playing on PC. So are we going to do a live stream for the TGV like we did for Munich as soon as it's ready? We will. Yeah. Once we're in a position to do it, then we will. Until we're in a position to do it, we won't. When will we be in a position to do it? Not today. There we are. Why does it sound AC44? We covered this about 8 minutes ago, but there's no harm in a repeat. I'll save one more repeat for the end of the stream. For those of you in the chat, anybody asking, please let them know when the question inevitably comes up again. But just so you know, firstly, we always have difficulty getting good sound out of the US because we're not in the US, and safety regulations mean that it's actually quite challenging to get our sound team anywhere near that which we require the sound from. Secondly, there is something of a global pandemic going on at the moment, which makes gathering of sound even more complicated than usual. So those are the reasons. However, here is the solution. If you have access to better sounds, and you think you can help, get in touch with either Matt or myself through the forums, and we'll have a longer conversation. So yeah, I mean it's relatively similar in sound to the AC4400 because they're configured in a very similar kind of way, but ultimately, you know, we can only use the sound that we can get. Yeah. Headlights need to listen better to trains, says John. Well, okay, John. Yeah. Why does the C40-8W only have the yellow nose 2 paint?
So this pack only has the one livery. I've seen a number of people asking about the other liveries. They weren't in the plan for this pack. But we're hearing you, and I'll raise that request back to the wider team.
Yeah, liveries are relatively straightforward to do. So we know that people would like a variety of livery wherever possible. So it's put it on a we're aware of the demand, but there's nothing coming at the moment.
No.
Yeah. Has the game had an update graphically in the last update? I've noticed it looks much better on PS4 Pro. What you might be finding is the effect of some of the optimization work that's going on. So we're optimizing regularly at the moment because particularly for console we want to use memory more efficiently. So you might notice bumps in performance occasionally here and there, but if there's anything major that we're doing in that regard, we'll let you know. Where have the Munich, Augsburg and Cologne Aachen streams? There have been none since their releases for either. Okay, well look, if you think about the streams that we do, once a week we do workshop. Once a week we typically talk about the new stuff. Once a fortnight we do the roadmap. It doesn't actually leave us a massive number of other streams to just play other things. So if there's a stream you particularly want to see, let us know via the forums.
Absolutely.
Letting us know via the forums is like a really, really good thing to do on almost anything that you have feedback-wise. But yeah, we can get that on the list. Mike is probably tuned in about now. So we want to see some German passenger action, Mike. Hold on, Mike's just giving us a heads up there. We will have another Munich stream next week. There you go. Sorted. You ask, you get. Warren loves the new add-on. Glad you like it, Warren. That's good. When can we get mouse compatibility for Xbox? Again, this is one where we're aware of the demand, but there's nothing in the works right now. Enter your standard roadmap response here, but we are aware of the demand. Yes. Oh, okay, right. No, hold on. Mike gave us a list of things I'm supposed to talk about. This particular train, the C40-8W, is out today, and the heavy freight, the BR heavy freight pack for Preserved Collection, has arrived, completing our tour of Preserved Collection first time round, and they are both out right now. We've got a livery designer competition running. I'm going to go through all of them now, and I'll go through them all again later. We've got a livery designer competition running right now where you can win the game and a route of your choice by creating an autumnal theme or a fall-based theme if you are one who prefers the term fall to autumn. Yep, you can do that. Speaking of autumn, it's the Steam Autumn Sale, or I suppose Fall Sale at the moment. On Steam, you can save yourself a good few shekels if you want to swing by Steam and boost your collection. Meanwhile, the Black Friday sales are running on Xbox and PlayStation. Commercial messages, friends. It's what we're all about here on the Dovetail stay-at-home TV shopping channel. Oh, I'd love to do a TV shopping channel. You know, that'd be fun. Anyway, let's talk more Dash 8. Where are we up to? Talk us through some of the functions that we've got here.
So I mean, in terms of functionality, it's pretty standard. It's just laid out in a very different way. So on like the AC4400, you'd have two screens here for doing, for example, brake controls. So you've got brake cutouts down here, and you've got brake control up here for managing the various cut-ins, cut-outs. On an AC4400, they're all the digital controls you've got on the computer screen. So again, this is an older cab. It's older ways of doing things. You've got the old style readouts, the airflow indicator, the old ammeter, and so forth, and speedometer. So you've obviously got less power with this loco. It's 400 less horsepower. It's only 4,000 instead of 4,400 as the AC loco, and it's got DC motors instead of the AC motors. Although generally feel that difference in the power, but in reality, it's using a different traction type. But yeah, it's got the sort of the normal lighting functions. It's got the wipers. And I've seen a couple of people talk about the head of train device, and no, the head of train device isn't functioning. That is on our list to take a look at some point, but I don't know when we'll get to that. We've got the spotter circuits working. So the way you use the spotter circuit is when the engine is off, you use you put it in, I think, jog mode, if I remember rightly, and then come back down here, and you use the reverser to operate. We put the reverser into forwards and hit spotter, and it will basically just connect the battery on the train to the motor, the traction motors, so you can move it at a slow speed without having to start it up. So the GP38 and I think the SD40 both have that functionality as well. So we managed to get that working in here. So it's a familiar train, but it's gonna it looks a little different if you're certainly for the American enthusiasts that can more easily tell the difference between them, and give a bit more variety on your traction with the what you're seeing on Sampax Grade. It's quite interesting driving on service mode because you've got the alternate trains coming back, and because the weathering on this one stands out quite a bit, you can always tell when you've got this thing coming in the other direction, because of the fact that it looks a bit more worn compared to the AC4400, which is more polished and brand new.
I've got to do some questions from the chat because the questions from the chat have been quite ebullient. So a moment ago, someone said, like, "Oh, for the love of God, when are you going to do a sale on PlayStation or Xbox?" In case you missed it, I may have mentioned the Black Friday sale on PlayStation and Xbox kicks off Black Friday, or as some people like to know it, tomorrow. There you go. Yeah, that's that one dealt with. Have a look at the banking com, because apparently it's not even there.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to have to ask the team about banking.com.
Okay, we'll investigate that further.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Could we ever see on a roadmap update how far some locos already are? No. No, that's not what the roadmap is for. It's not about telling you how far along something has progressed, only that we're working on it. The section it sits in tells you how far it's progressed. You're just waiting for it to tick through onto the next one. Someone else said, have the sand patch grade fixes gone out already? Yes, they went out earlier this week, I believe.
Yeah,
Right.
there was a chunk of sand patch grade fixes actually went into as part of the timetable. The updates that included this also included a bunch of fixes for the timetable as well. So service
Right.
mode has had quite a number of fixes to it.
Can you put the CSX SD70 ACE-T4 on the route?
I'd love to get some tier 4 trains in. I'm looking in to see what we can do with the with newer, bigger American trains. Yes,
That's a no right now, until you hear otherwise.
Exactly. Yes, I'm looking into everything.
The appetite is there, but nothing at present.
Oh yeah, very much so. Yeah.
Manuals, are they no longer a thing? Manuals are a massive pain in the backside. That's the shorthand way of describing. We know that our manuals are lacking, if not in terms of punctuality or depth, in terms of ever. So we're aware of it, and we are working on a better solution than we have at the moment, because the solution we have at the moment is bad. So yeah, expect improvements when they come. It is on the roadmap. The manuals are actually on the roadmap. So yeah, we're working on it. When is TSW 2021 coming out on Xbox One? You're a very funny individual, Richard. Very good. You and your sick burns. I'm going to go to take a cold shower after that one. Egad, I might have to go to the. Yes, you're very clever. Yes, well done. What's my role at DTG? Am I PR? No, I'm definitely. But no, I'm like the least effective PR person you'll ever come across. I'm rather too honest and outspoken for that. No, I do a bunch of different things. There you go. That's the best way of describing it.
It's true.
Yeah. Is there any solution coming for the flickering? So that's an engine thing. There are various elements that have a bit of a flicker to them. What tends to cause that? It's a good question.
There's different types and reasons for flickering. So one of them is there's the temporal anti-aliasing (TAA) can cause flickering with things like overhead wires. Then FXAA, another type of anti-aliasing, can cause flickering around the sides because of the way they anti-alias. They have different pros and cons. Anti-aliasing is about trying to create data out of nothing, that you're creating more data than you've actually got. So there are weaknesses, and those are two different techniques for doing it. So choose which one is your preference. And some other things that can cause the flickering are I'm trying to think now. Those are probably the two biggest causes of flickering. Some of them are just because there's quite a bit of detail. So one thing you can do is you can go into settings, and you can, if you've got enough horsepower on your machine, your graphics card, you can turn up the screen percentage and run it with a higher screen percentage. What that does, so at 200%, it's now rendering a screen that's actually 4K, and then using all that extra data to create a really, really nice 1080p image by scaling it back down again. So you end up actually with a much crisper picture if you can run screen percentage much higher, and that will eliminate a bunch of flickering as well. So if you've got specific cases of flickering, then I can see what might be causing those ones and answer that question. But anti-aliasing and screen percentage are two of the big areas that can improve that.
Right. Yeah. Good. Carl asks, is it possible to build routes that are 100 miles or more in TSW? The answer is yes. It's very possible. Where it comes down to, and we answer this question quite a lot. Bingo players, I'm pretty sure you will have just dabbed, but it comes down to what's going on that route. If the route is nothing but a piece of single track 100 miles long, piece of cake, no stations in the middle, no other trains to worry about, one service that's then repeated 46 times throughout the day, you've got it, all yours, well done, you're welcome to it. 100 miles, tick in the box. It would be the easiest thing in the world for us to create a 200-mile long route that is a station-to-station route. Just find one somewhere in the world, ideally through a desert. Put it out there, and then we can go, there you go, there's your long route. Now shut up.
Nullarbor Desert, there you go.
Yeah, but that's not what we want to do. What we want to do is make sure that the routes we put out have a sufficient amount of things to do and variety and action within them that it feels like you're doing something noteworthy. Doing a point-to-point service that with 100, 200, 300 miles of nothing but track in between, okay, but that's not what you want. Length on its own is not a great route. You want length plus the environment that you've got within it. There you go. Yes. And if you want the route that if you want to do a longer drive, slow down. There you go. Yeah, I know, that's an incredibly glib response. But the point remains. The time is used on whatever it is that fills the route. So the more we fill the route with, the longer it takes to do. And therefore we compact routes to try and find things that are going to be satisfying for you to play. There you go. Any plan to bring the Bernina line, Gotthardbahn, to Train Sim World Tour? Any Alpine routes? We've got the Arosa line is in the works by Rivet. That counts as Alpine because it's in the Alps. Mm-hmm. There you go. What's the next game coming out? We haven't got a game to announce. No, there are no new games coming out. No, none, not one. Why do the Train Sim World games have so much DLC? Great question. And the answer is choice. Being a fan of trains covers a huge amount of different options, and we barely scratch the surface. We focus our attention on 3 countries primarily. Occasionally we stray outside them, but really we don't stray outside those 3 countries. Why do we have so much DLC available? Because you're not supposed to get all of it. You only get the bits that you're interested in. It is not a normal game. We want to make sure that there is something for everybody, or as close as we can get something for everybody within the catalogue. So just get the stuff that you want to drive. Yeah. If you want to get everything, great, that works for us, but that's entirely your decision to make. So the reason that we've got so much stuff out there, and what I'm going to use air quotes, sorry, regular gamers don't understand is that you don't need it all. No. And frankly, if you did get it all, you'd never be able to play it. There wouldn't be enough time for you to play it all. Plus, you'd probably need an extra couple of hard disks kicking around there somewhere. So it's simply choice. That's why there's so much available. You pick the stuff you like, you play it. If you don't like anything else, well, don't buy it then. You're not losing anything by not picking it up. What's next for USA? What is next for USA? Yeah, Cane Creek. Is that next?
No, I think Clinchfield is next.
Clinchfield's next. Okay, there you go. Yeah. So there you go. Yeah, we don't give dates until about 2 or 3 days before release. That's about right. Yeah, that's true. We tend to go right up to the last minute in terms of development, and then only announce a date when we're absolutely certain we're going to hit it. Any chance of track IR support soon? Okay, spoilers. It's going on the roadmap in the next roadmap update. So it will go forward to in planning. It came up. I left myself a note earlier on today that it needs to go on. So track IR support going on the roadmap in the next roadmap update. There you go. Does the Dash 8 have the same physics as the AC40-400?
No, it's got the physics of a 4,000 horsepower DC locomotive.
Okay, go on then. How would that manifest?
You'll find that it just can't hold as much. It's just
less grunt.
It's just less grunt, basically. And slower responding and so forth. So when you throttle up and throttle down, it's just a slower, more bulky locomotive compared to the AC40-400, which has got modern electronic controls in it.
And presumably the weight of the machine itself comes into effect there as well. So you've got the combination of the weight and the horsepower. So how does it compare weight-wise?
I actually don't know. That's a question for everybody to go and look it up and find out what the weight is. I can't remember. We will have put the right weight in there, but since I didn't develop it, I didn't see it. But actually, American locos, they quite often ballast them up to get to certain weights because weight is a part of the. You've got it doesn't matter how powerful your locomotive is, you've got to be able to pull everything behind you. Which means if you don't stick to the ground hard enough, you just get dragged back down the hill as much as you might want your wheels to spin. So they, if necessary, with the bigger, like the triple axle locos, it's like, and they quite often put ballast in them to if they haven't got achieved with the weight that they want. Otherwise, they need more locomotives and more axles and so forth. So
yeah,
a powerful, heavy loco.
Could you do us a little bit of head look just for a moment? Right, so this looking around that Matt is currently doing here, with track IR, you have a sensor that clips to the baseball cap more often than not, and so when you turn your head, it turns your head. There you go. Matt is currently showing what that kind of what the effect is. So when you move your head, it replicates it on screen. Now, of course, that only kind of works because as soon as you turn your head that way, you can no longer actually see the screen. There are ways that you can make that work, and you can amplify the effect so that you only turn your head a little bit, and it does quite a.
Once you get used to it, it becomes really, really effective because it's also 6 degrees movement freedom, which means it's not just up, down, left, right. Also, if you can lean in and look at controls and so forth, it captures where it figures out where your head is in 3D space and maps that into the game. It's really effective. Also means that you can do this and stick your head out the window, for example.
Oh, that's fun. Okay, all right, I'll allow it. Yeah, that's good. Any news on the new French route coming? Yes, it's coming. There we go, and it's getting closer every day. Every day that passes, the French route is one day closer to release. There you are. Can you jump off the front of the train while it's moving? Yep, probably.
Can.
There's always a way to do that. Why you would want to, other than, I mean, I think everybody does it once. Everybody goes like, I'm going to jump off the train while it's moving. And so you do it, and then you kind of go, well, that's that then, isn't it? That's that done. Oh.
If you do, however, fall off the train, then either press Control 0 and it will teleport you back into the cab, into your seat, or on the joystick, on the controller, you press and you click the right...
No, unacceptable.
Unacceptable.
If you throw yourself off the train, you have to live with the consequences. No. I do stupid stuff like that all the time. And frankly, you have to, if you've hosed it, live with it, own it,
deal with it.
Find
another train.
Shocker that the horn is the same lots. If you hang on, I'll do the quick talk on why the sounds are the same as the C40-8W in about 10 minutes time. But we only had it 15 minutes ago, and that was for the second time already, so we'll hold on to it.
Callum, the AFM-CFM indicator is the airflow. So it tells you it's measuring the airflow going out the brake pipe hose out the back of the train. So if when you release the brakes, the airflow indicator goes up, you can still see there's air being pumped out the rest of the train. When the airflow indicator starts coming down, you know that the air is filled up on the rest of the train. So it gives you an idea of what's happening. Gives you quite a good visibility of what's happening with the braking on the rest of the train.
There you go. A couple of people asking about multiplayer. You can ask about multiplayer all day long. We've got nothing to announce as far as multiplayer is concerned. Yeah, there you are.
Speed Slayer, teleporting on controller, and I'm going to stop Sam there. You press and hold the right stick, and it will
click it. Click the right stick in.
Yeah, it will bop you
and hold it, and it will teleport.
It will bop you back in. Because some people do fall off the train completely accidentally, and as much as Sam is right, own your mistakes, live the dream.
Yeah.
Sometimes an hour and a half into a scenario, that's just painful.
That's called immersion. Oh, there you go. There's the sick burn. Richard, if you're still here, Jonah has just issued the sick burn. See, there it is. See, we get it every time. It's people coming over, doing their very original jokes. It's really good. It's really, really good. It's because we had the temerity to release a sequel to a game about 3.5-4 years after the original one. So that's why we get the sick joke all the time. Right.
Just getting to the summit. This is where things start going downhill. Someone earlier on asked about a braking tutorial, so I'm not going to give you a full braking tutorial, but once we start getting onto the downgrade, which will be very shortly, then I'll just talk you through the basics.
What have we got? Can we have the volume sliders back in the menu? Presumably that's ambient sound, interior cab sound, all of that kind of stuff. Is that something from Train Sim, maybe?
These ones? What sliders are you talking about?
Is there more granularity in the volume selection in Train Sim? I can't think off the top of my head.
No, there's more here. There's more here. We haven't changed that, at least
No,
not intentionally.
That hasn't changed. There you go. The CN and CSX GP38-2 are both differently made. Is the Canadian National one making it to the livery editor? The Canadian National one came with Clinchfield. Oakfield, flipping.
Yeah, it's the Canadian add-on, yeah.
Came with Oakfield, so it's part of preserved collection. We are going to be adding all of the preserved. Well, we're going to be adding preserved collection locos. We don't know which ones yet. Maybe all of them, maybe just a few. It's to be decided, but we'll go into detail about which ones we are and aren't doing. So yeah, because it's part of preserved collection, it needs to be worked on. But we're going to be doing some, if not all, and we'll give more concrete information on that when we've got more concrete information on it. Yeah, there's already mention of it on the roadmap, so there's definitely some work being done already. Yeah. Can we make train wrecks one day? No, you can't. It's incredibly unlikely because that's not the game we make. In fact, it's part of Dovetail's philosophy is to value life. So anything that is, that could be seen as life jeopardizing or making light of death and destruction, that's not our style. So we get that people like causing immense amounts of damage, burnout for trains. I can see the appeal, but that's not what we're making. That's not what we're about. There is a game called Derail Valley, and it does include wrecks. Not full kind of breaking apart wrecks, but it's quite satisfying nonetheless. It's quite well modelled to see stuff going on. How many services will there be? So how many extra services does comes with the Dash 8?
So it's something like 6. I want to say 11 or 12, something like that. So there's 4 in the U877s and 6 or 10. So there's 4 in the U877s and I think 6 in the N4s, which are the coal trains running up and down the line. But obviously you can use this train on all of the other services as well. Right.
What's this scenario called?
This scenario is called Eastbound Coal. It's the first scenario. And in this one you start as if you had just picked up coal from the Shore Mine back up here somewhere. We're running down, and now it's basically, this is about managing a train downhill. The second scenario is starting around Hindman area here, and it's just about managing the train uphill in the rain. And then the third scenario is another downhill run, but this time in the snow, I think with a slightly heavier train. So you've got a bit more of a challenge there, because if you tend to mess the brakes about, then you're going to find yourself losing grip much more easily in that scenario.
How about working radios in the cab? But who are you going to call? We haven't got multiplayer. We had a working radio in the cab. You could just pretend, pick up your telephone or something and just go, "Hello, control. Yeah, I need clearance to get through the next signal thing." And then go. Totally authentic. There you go. You're living the dream. And then if you get in touch with me on a voice channel of some description, I'll do the response authentically for you, and I'll do it live. There you go. Can't say fairer than that. Yeah. Right. There we are. Ghostbusters.
Who are you going to call?
Who are you going to call? Oh, very good. Yes.
I very nearly said it myself.
Sorry.
I managed to hold myself back.
Accidentally put in a setup line.
I know.
Yeah. There you are. Which of the services have consists with 4 locomotives?
The U877 services are 4 locos.
Okay. Good knowledge. I'm remarkably impressed by the fact. I mean, you could just be lying and faking it, of course. I mean, that's possible. But just kind of go, oh yeah, that one. Knowing.
No, I specifically put them in there.
No, very good.
So anyway, on the braking thing. So at the moment, what happened is we came down we crested over the grade. What happens? I left the speed a bit lower, around 25 as we came over, so that the speed could come up a bit, while the rest of the train made its way over the hill. Then I brought the dynamic brakes in, not the air brakes, the dynamic brakes, which is when you use the A and the D keys, or you move this lever backwards and forwards. You put it. You notice this has got two positions. So this is the throttle half, and this is the dynamic brake half. So I'm in the dynamic brake half now, and I used the dynamic brake half initially as the train took more and more and more of its weight onto the downhill slope, and the slope got steeper. So at a certain point, the dynamic brakes can't really cope with it anymore, because we're now a heavy train going down a steep gradient. So what you do is you bring in a minimum set. I have done nothing but a minimum set on the air brakes. And then allowed that to apply throughout the train. And as it applied throughout the train, the speed started to come down, so I just gradually released the dynamic brakes back off until we are now balanced around notch 5 on the dynamics, a minimum set on the air brakes. And we're losing speed again now because the gradients just settled off. So now I'll just ease off the dynamic brakes a bit more and just keep an eye on this, keep an eye on the bubble, and just keep the speed level. And you just do that by using dynamic brakes to manage your speed, and your air brakes to take the brunt of it, so that you can do it quickly. With dynamic brakes, if I applied this brake just a little bit more, it would take another minute, 2 minutes before it actually had reflected the fullness of its change, if you like. So you'd apply it and nothing would happen, and then a bit would happen. You'd think, oh, I need more brakes, so you apply more, and before you know it, you're screeching to a halt. And then what happens is you release it because you're braking too much. But then the brakes completely release. You can't do partial release on American trains. You can only do full release on American trains, which now means you're now running down the hill, and you can't reapply them until you've got pressure built back up again. So balance your brakes, use a little bit of air brakes, and keep tracking and just manage them carefully, but use your dynamic brakes for all the hard work.
Good explanation there. You know what? We should spin that out as a separate video. Matt teaches downhill brake control. I was going to say earlier on, actually, the reason we're going downhill is because you always get chronic wheel slip when you're trying to go uphill. I've seen you do it. It's not a pretty sight.
It's not me.
Right.
Somebody else.
So we've got a couple more. In here. Hold on. Wait for it. Hold on. They've slipped up a little. Jonah asks, what does the banking com even do?
The purpose of banking com, it's a fictional thing in the game to solve a problem that people solve normally in real life, but there's no people in the game, so you can't really do it that way. So what happens is that if you've got locomotives at the front of a train and locomotives at the back of a train, then they are, unless you're using something like really modern like the C40-8W, where they electronically talk to each other, then there's no communication between those locos. Like these two locos are physically connected together. There's a big orange cable at the back here, which is these cables, the orange cables here, are sending all of the signals. So when I say put the throttle up to here, that cable's sending all the data to the other loco, and so that it does the same change as well. But there's no cable that goes all the way through all of those 100 wagons or 40 wagons or 50 wagons behind me and sends that signal to the ones at the back. So what would happen in reality is that the engineer at the back, you'd be using a radio and saying, hey, put your throttle up, and so forth. Or there'd be the wireless communication in the more modern locos. Now, this is not a modern locomotive. So we'd use something like banking com to simulate talking to the engineer in the other in the rear pair. And then the other rear pair drives like an independent set, reacting to what you're doing.
So it's a MacGuffin that we've used to simulate reality, and now that it's absent, people are noticing a missing MacGuffin.
Yeah, basically.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. Let's. What's next? The cab lighting is so bright. It is a bit bright, but we always turn them on for these feature streams just so you can see everything in full detail. We know it's a bit bright, and actually we do have some, ooh, that's a bit bright going on in several places. So again, this is on our things we're aware of, is that, sorting out the amount of really stark lighting we have occasionally is something to address. But, it's not yet on the radar. Will there ever be a workshop in Train Sim World? I'm not going to say anything along the lines of never say never, but I will say it's not on the roadmap, and therefore it's not something to look forward to. We know already that people want to be able to share the creations that they're making in Scenario Planner or in Delivery Designer, and we are looking at solutions to making that a thing that can happen. We've got nothing to announce on that front, and there's nothing concrete at all. But we know of the demand, and it's something that we want to do as well. There you go. Damien says, thanks for making this game for us to play. You are welcome. Thank you for paying to play it. There you go. That's the exchange. That's nice. Yeah, I thought I'd read that one out because we don't get those very often. That's not begging. No, it's not. It's just being nice. That's all. When will we see the editor so we can make our own routes? Shortly after cornettos are available in the underworld. That's when. Yeah. Right, okay, that one. If that's not completely clear, we have zero intention of releasing the editor publicly. No intention of doing so. There are too many issues that come along with it that we cannot solve. So we know you want it, but unfortunately, that's a hard no. Yeah, Monda. Sorry, I did see that the first time round. Could you do us an exterior cam fly past of the new hoppers? Right. Yeah. There we go. Is the Dash 8 in the Cumberland switchback scenario?
I don't know, actually.
Okay.
I don't know. One of the changes we did make was we changed the time of Cumberland switchback. Oh no, that happened in the original release. Sorry, ignore me. I'm confused on what fixes I've done when.
Have we seen the community formation editor? I didn't realise the community were in any kind of formation. They tend to feel something like an unruly rabble. I'm allowed to make jokes. That's the thing. We know of various bits and pieces mod-wise that PC players are engineering. The only risk with that regard is that at some point we make an update and it stops working. But formation editor, again, we know that you want it. Oh, RailDriver, John, you have inadvertently walked into something I wanted to talk about. How's RailDriver coming along, Matt?
It's doing very well, actually. I started actually having a test of it myself in an internal build the other day. It's not quite there yet, but making very rapid progress on it now. So the team that are working on it are doing a cracking job. So yes, it's moving along quite nicely, and I'm hoping that in the next short number of days I'll actually have a build I can play with internally, and then get out to
days.
Yeah, we're down to a short number of days potentially to have a build in for me to look at, and then some point shortly after that maybe something for our internal beta testers to have a look at, and then we'll see there. Obviously we need people to actually myself and other people who've got RailDrivers in the beta team to actually use it and see how we get on with it. But yes, making good progress now.
We're aiming to hit closed beta first because we have a beta testing crew, and a little bit more visibility on that. So we need to have a chat on that, Matt. Just in case you didn't see the roadmap stream, we need to have a chat.
We need to have a chat. No, I didn't see the roadmap stream, unfortunately.
Book that in. We need to have a chat. What's RailDriver? RailDriver is it's rather like a flight stick that you would use with a flight simulator, except this is a bunch of levers and dials and
it looks surprisingly like that. Actually,
that looks quite a lot like that.
It really does look. It's pretty much modelled after that.
Yeah, it is PC only, but it is a step towards greater options when it comes to controls. So RailDriver has been conspicuous in its absence from Train Sim World, given that, not least of all, we've supported it in the past. So it's coming soon. Check the roadmap for details. How do you access developer content and test stuff being worked on? Do you use a standard copy of the game or enter a code or something?
We've got our own internal builds that we use to do that,
Yeah.
and the same. We test them across multiple platforms, so there's different versions for Steam. We sometimes build versions that don't even get uploaded to Steam, and we just have copies on the network drives. And then the same for when we do console test builds, where you've got the build system will kick out just the files that would get uploaded. We can just take those and put them on our dev kits.
Is mastery being looked at? Yes, it's on the roadmap. We had a big meeting today. We have a meeting once a month. About 20 people from the Train Sim World team to discuss overall progress and future plans, and we had that meeting this morning, and we did go mastery. So yeah, we know mastery's coming. So it's going to happen. Yeah, there we go. John, if you hang on, I'll answer questions about train sound overall shortly. What else? I saw another one that I should answer.
George says, can you turn off wheel blur off on PS4 with a keyboard? Yes, Control F2.
Control F2 disables the old motion blur. Yeah. What actually is mastery? Mastery is it's a bunch of challenges in the game where if you complete them, and it tends to be drive 250 million miles in the locomotive you enjoy driving the least, and then you can unlock a new background for the loading screen. Brilliant.
We have been listening. Mastery will not be that.
Exactly. It'll be better this time. We've got stuff that you might actually want. So yeah, wait for more details, but it is being worked on. And it won't be quite as many as 250 million. I think we've got it down to 220 million this time around, with the Loco you second most hate. So there you go. Please enable cameras in tunnels. The problem with that, Dallas, is that more often than not, you'll end up clipping through the side of the tunnel, and then you'll see the naked underskirts of the world, and it ain't glamorous. So it is. The reason we disable it is to try and preserve immersion as much as possible. Now I know that's a choice that someone can make. They could just stay in their cab the entire time. But there you go. Can DTG add the zoom for exterior camera for console players? That's a question of switching back to the old control style rather than the, what's it called? Immersion controls?
It's immersion controls and classic controls. So classic controls has no, actually zoom doesn't exist at all on the old one. We got zoom interior into the immersion controls, but there's no zoom on the exterior. What's on the other controls is the other camera modes.
Could that be added perhaps using keyboard? So yeah, it won't get to everyone, because I know the problem we have with console is that a pad only has a finite number of buttons. Well, a keyboard only has a finite number of buttons. Yes, but there are more of them. Don't be pedantic. There's only has a finite number of buttons, so we try and get on there the most important controls that you're going to need. As far as having extra controls, though, a keyboard. Why don't we map stuff like that to keyboard?
Potential. Well, I know we've definitely heard the request for external zoom and for other stuff that people. There's been some interesting threads on the forums about other functions people would like to have access to on the console. So listened, heard, and figuring out at the moment.
Yeah. How do you turn off motion blur on Xbox One on controller?
You can't.
There you go.
Use a keyboard.
Yeah. I mean, presumably you're not typing to us on your console. If you are, fair play. Because
fair
it's
play.
a pain in the bum typing messages on a controller. Just plug in a regular PC keyboard and you're off and rolling. No, it's not perfect, but yes, it does work, and yes, it's relatively simple. Yeah. Keyboards have infinite buttons. Thanks, Crazy. Good. Living up to your name there. Right, what else? Arctic Patrol says it should be in the settings. It's in advanced settings, I think. Matt says it isn't.
Oh,
If Matt's
yeah,
wrong,
in setting
then,
course. I forgot we'd added that.
To mention that he's lying about not being able to turn off motion blur in the
yeah, motion blur. Boom.
You
Right
were
there.
wrong then.
I was wrong. I was wrong.
That was wrong, everybody.
It happens.
It's happened before. It'll happen again.
happens
Will you ever
regularly,
read the Class 166, but in FGW, First Great Western, livery and Class 43? Isn't First Great Western a bit of a sore point for us?
It's a difficult point.
It's a difficult point. It's a difficult license for us to work with because it's not their fault. It's just it's a complicated license to work with.
Yeah. It's
right. George, thanks. He's off. Superb stream. Ah, George, you big softy. We miss you already. Right, yes, good. On most rates on TSW, when you have completed tutorials, when you go back into the game, it thinks you haven't done the tutorial. You can turn those off, you know. Those intro tutorials, they can be disabled in the main menu. It will, by default, do it for everything.
Yes, it's the auto load setting you need to turn off.
Yeah. Right, okay, yeah, good. Crazy's thinking about George. We're all thinking about George in some fashion or another. Yeah, okay, what else we got going on? Is TSW going to have a steam locomotive like the big boy? When you talk about steam locomotives, don't immediately jump to the big boy. The most sophisticated, over-engineered, massive steam locomotive that has ever existed. Yes, there's probably bigger. Someone will correct me. We wouldn't want to start there. Surely we would want to start with something a little smaller, a little less complicated, so that we can actually go, that's a good steam engine to drive that one, and then broaden our horizons by going for the most sophisticated, over-engineered, powerful, enormous flipping heck. That's a steam engine and a half. No, it's not. It's actually two of them bolted together. But yeah. Steam, it's something we are chasing after, but we got nothing to announce on that front. They are, good, they are. There it is. Why is the AFM indicator now in full?
I released the brakes. They're coming. It's the airflow indicator is coming down now. It's just finished, but I released the brakes earlier on because the gradient eased up, so we were slowing down. So I released the brakes. In fact, I'm going to have to reapply them again in a minute because the gradient's steeped up again.
I'm an American. That's the only steam locomotive I know is the big boy and the Challenger. Well, okay, all right. Well, that's fair. That's a fair excuse. But you know, as an American, you know, learn a few more. There are some really nice earlier moguls. I like moguls a great deal. That's quite classic. But there's a bunch of really nice looking earlier steam locos in the US. Really nice. Can we get rid of the dot in the middle of the screen like what I suggested? Matt,
it's still on the list.
Can we? Get on the road, Matt, mate. Go on, you got nothing else going on. Put it on there.
Yeah,
Stick it
I'm
in.
bored.
Go on. Go on. Conrail, standard cab ones. Why did we go with the Illinois 2 CSX C40-8W and not the other ones like the ex-Conrail ones or standard cab ones to spice things up? And who doesn't like it spicy?
Well, the same you could say no matter what you pick. Why didn't you pick something different? Really?
That's the one we chose.
That's the one we chose, yeah.
That's the one we chose. All right, fine. You may say that that we chose incorrectly, and that's fine, because everybody's allowed their own taste, but we chose this one. Yeah. Imagine TSW2 on the Nintendo Switch. Oh, couldn't you just? And, also, you know what else? Imagine it on the Amiga. Oh, that'd be good.
Until you get the Spectrum version, though, you've not reached the height of anything, really.
Yeah. FPS rip. Well, you'd need to make significant optimizations to run it on something like the Switch. Switch, heck of a piece of kit, but not a massive amount of horsepower. But you know, and it all comes, and as we add more into the world of Train Sim World, it all comes down to how much horsepower we have to play with, and we have to look at the lowest spec we say that we'll run on, which is it's pretty much a dead heat between the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. That's not to take anything away from them as consoles. They're perfectly great consoles, but we have to make sure that things run on that. And we know already that some things don't perform as well on the base level console as we would like. So yeah, it's, you know, this is a constant case of improvements and optimization, and that kind of thing needs to be done. And as we add more in, the pressure to do so increases exponentially. The lowest spec is Jamie's laptop. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, very good. Yeah, we know already that Jamie's computer is not quite up to the job of streaming the game, but he loves doing it, and you should see his little face when he's disappointed. He's only young. We want to give him some hope. Right, there you are. That's good, Scotty. Yeah, good one. Can I just say TSW2 is so much better than TSW. Awesome job, guys. Keep up the good work. Oh, well,
thank you very much.
We like to think that we're going the right way. We're not there yet, and frankly, we'll never be there. But as long as we're going the right way, then, you know, your level of enjoyment should be significant-ish. And obviously, your mileage is going to vary because everybody perceives things slightly differently. The worst thing you could do is talk to other fans of the game, because they will see it in a different way to you. They'll pick out things that you weren't aware of, and you'll go, "Oh yeah, yeah." Whereas if you just experience it for yourself, you'll only notice what you notice rather than noticing it what other people do too. It's the secret to being happy with games. Don't talk to other gamers. Yeah, that's the big secret.
Section of track we're going down at the moment is, if you look up photographs on Sandpatch Grade, this section of track is probably one of the most photographed sections. It's really pretty, and it's quite often taken. A lot of the photographs are taken from up there somewhere, looking down across the corner, or catching the trains coming around the corner here. Really, really nice area, this.
Red saying this is way smoother than yesterday's stream. That is the joke about Jamie's laptop. That's down to the hardware that we were running on, rather than how smoothly it runs. Now, I mean, obviously, Train Sim World is a much newer engine that we're running on than that which Train Simulator runs on. So, so you know, there are graphical fidelity improvements going on already, and in terms of frame rate chop, it comes down to the quality of the kit that you're playing on. And Jamie's quality of kit is maybe just a smidge short of where it should be to stream this stuff.
Yeah, this is a 4.6 gigahertz CPU with a 2080 graphics card, so it should do all right.
John, you've been patient. John has been patient. Here we go. Any news about horns? Okay, so here's the thing: is we are restricted about what we can do when it comes to sound. Because particularly when it comes to US sound, we struggle to get access to the source sounds. You know, even under normal circumstances, getting permission due to the safety and health and safety, I think people used to call it, regulations that are going on, we struggle to be able to actually capture those sounds in the first place. With a global pandemic going on, that's made it even more complicated to pull off. That said, we obviously want to use entirely authentic sound wherever possible. So if you are in a position to help out in some fashion, get in touch with either Matt or myself through the forum, and we'll have a more in-depth conversation. Because, you know, we don't care where we get the sound from as long as we're getting it legitimately. And that it is as good as it can be. So sometimes we are using simulated sounds. Sometimes we're reproducing sounds from a loco which, for all intents and purposes, has the exact same power plant, the exact same machinery going on. But yeah, you'll notice when we've used the same sound more than once, and as much as we want to do it differently every single time, sometimes we just have to roll with what we've got. Brody, how should we contact you? Send a private message to either Matt or myself through the Dovetail Games forums, forums.dovetailgames.com. I'm known as DTG Protagonist, and you're Matt P.
Something like that.
DTG Matt P.
I'm not hard to find.
Send a message to either one of us, and we'll go from there. There you go. Are you going to see a modified HUD soon? No.
A modified HUD?
That's not something we're working on. We know that some people preferred the old HUD to the new one, but actually haven't got used to the new one. Subjective opinion, right? This might not be yours, but in my subjective opinion, I actually quite like the new HUD. It is very easy to read.
I much prefer it. I've gone back to the old HUD actually in using a couple of locos from the back catalogue before they were upgraded via the Preserve Collection, and
yeah,
I definitely prefer this HUD.
Well, I mean, the downside to the new one is it's a little bit, I'm the HUD, I'm in your face. But actually, that's not a bad thing. Having all of that information front and centre, it makes a big difference. There you go. What does the horn sound like, please? Do us an exterior horn shot, please, Matt. What about a coloured accelerometer? Everybody liked that. That's true. The coloured accelerometer is a big improvement. I'm just going to assume that you're making horn sounds.
I'm making horn sounds. Sorry, I'm just concentrating on the horn.
Great. That's what we like.
The coloured accelerometer was something that one of our contractors actually did. That was Mike that did that as an experiment. And having gone through that experiment, we are now reviewing the feedback and we'll work out what we do with it going forwards. Yes, it's interesting. I liked it, and it's good to see really good feedback coming in. So we'll see what we can do with it.
That horn is so quiet. Well, that's the thing, is that quite a lot of the time when the sound has not lived up to maybe your expectations, is because the sound balance that we have isn't quite right. Someone just asked, why Casual Headshot Pro, why can't you get proper horn sounds? Well, if you weren't here 2 minutes ago when I explained why we can't get the sounds, here it is again. Normally we have more difficulty than usual getting authentic sounds from the US, because obviously we're based in the UK, and because there are some quite strict rules with regards to getting our developers onto the trains and to actually record stuff in the first place. There are safety rules that kind of get in the way of that. So that's what happens normally. We do our best, but that's the normal situation. But this year, there's a global pandemic going on that makes things even more complicated. Now, if you happen to be in a position whereby you can contribute to our bank of sounds because you do have direct access, maybe you work on the railroad or know someone who does, then get in touch with either Matt or myself through the forums, and we'll have a longer conversation and figure out how you can best help. There you go. I've said that enough times now, I could probably do it in my sleep. Are the horn sounds quieter than the engine? I don't know. That's for you to decide. Just, I don't know. Do it and find out. Pull the button, press the lever, do the thingamajig. Are we going to add new locomotives in the future like the ES44DC? Have yourself a look at the roadmap there and you'll see exactly what is being worked on. When we're ready to say that we're working on new stuff, we'll add it to the roadmap. Until we start adding stuff to the roadmap, however, it's not on the roadmap and therefore we're not working on it. So there you go. Stop at location distance reading font could do with being bigger. Yeah, somewhat. We saw from the get-go actually that people would like some of the fonts to be larger, or to have the option to make fonts larger or smaller. If you're playing on console, particularly if you're sat several feet, several meters back from the screen, it can be a little tricky to read. We've known about that one, but it's not something that we've got on the to-do list at the moment. Not because it isn't important, but because our to-do list is flipping enormous. Can you explain how simulgraph works?
So
Not today.
Yeah, let's do it another time.
What we should do, however, Mike, if you've got your magic pen and paper handy, write this one down as a good idea. What is simulgraph? How does it work? In depth. Go full nerd.
I can do that.
I mean, just turn the camera on, point it at Matt, walk away, and then come back later, change the battery, hit record again, and walk away again. And then Matt can regale everybody with some simulgraph factoids.
I might see if I can convince Mr. Fisk to join me on that, and he can talk you through some of his findings as well, because he's had a lot of fun with simulgraph, doing some of the locos.
Because it's a fascinating subject, but it's very, very long. If you want to get anything more,
it's also very technical.
Yeah, and you know what? Our audience is such that there are plenty of people out there that will really appreciate knowing the technical. You know that, I know that, they know that. So I think that's well worth our time to pursue. On a side note, are we nearly there yet?
We stop whenever you like. This route, we've got ages until we get to Cumberland.
We've got ages. Okay,
yeah, just this.
Mike's saying we've got some simulgraph info in our next LGV article. But we can do a full deep dive as well. Do we have a date for the next LGV article, Mike, or are we not giving the date today? There you go. Yeah, see, he'll tell me whether I'm allowed to give you a date, and if we are allowed to give you a date, he'll tell me what that date is.
Let me bring it to a stop, and we can stop here then.
There are some slightly. Oh, okay. The next LGV article is tomorrow. There you go. That's a nice treat, isn't it? A bit of Friday LGV action for you. That's good. Great. When an electric starts to accelerate on a gradient without taking power, you still hear the IGBTs. Is that the back EMF being simulated, or are the sounds tied to the speeds?
I'm going to defer that one to someone who knows that with more expertise, rather than me making it up and potentially be wrong. We simulate a lot
because you have the expertise.
Hmm?
I'm the clueless one. I'm the explainer. I'm the one who asks the dumb girl questions and just kind of goes, "But why is that, handsome engineer man?" And you tell me, right? I'm just here to play dumb and get a free meal. That's dearie me. Just come on. Yeah. Right. Okay. I think that's going to wrap it up. You're stopping, and therefore I think we should stop. Yeah. Can you shut down the loco and restart it? Okay, that's worth saying. Do us a full shutdown, full restart. Get your cranking handle out.
This might go wrong because I've not actually done that on this loco before. But okay.
Okay. Well, there you go. You should know what should happen. Do you know what else? My own personal sound thing is that the sound should be much louder all round. And I know I should listen to my own advice and just turn my speakers up. But it feels like it's never loud enough inside the train. When you get outside, it gets a little bit louder, and sometimes quite a lot louder. But it never feels like it's quite loud enough inside. I noticed it on Bakerloo, right? You're driving Bakerloo, and I've been on the tube, and it's flipping deafening. It is incredibly loud, even at the quietest of times. I just need to turn up my volume, don't I? That's what. You're not even answering me now. You're not even human.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking to everybody else. What was the question? Sorry.
Oh, never mind, Matt. That's all right. Yeah. I think Dallas. I think basically just turn your volume up.
Yeah.
That's the way to go. But that's see, that's the thing. I have my volume set at a level that makes for the right level of sound for everything that I do on my computer, and therefore, if it feels a little quiet, it's because I have my sound set to a standard level, so I shouldn't need to crank it up. It should be louder by default. There you go. Just give us another couple of volume sliders. Let's remix the sound on the fly. I want to crank the ambient up to max, turn the rail noise up to monstrous, and the horn up to you just wrecked your eardrums.
Yes. That'll be good to get some more sounds in there, definitely. So I managed to start it back up there. I'm not quite sure how, because I think I got this procedure wrong, but it did start back up, and I can now take amp. So it did work.
You can edit the config. I should know this. No. See, my speciality is in playing it like a normal person, not like one of you. I'm just going to get my text editor out and I'm going to change all these values and see what happens. No. I leave everything vanilla, because otherwise I will experience things differently to how a normal player would do. So I play it in the same way as someone coming at it cold does. That's deliberate. Is TGV article coming tomorrow? Yes, it is. Yeah, I just found out too. Isn't that nice? That's good. How are we getting on? Have you restarted it?
Yeah, it's up and running. So take amps now. So
good. We can leave the stream now. No, because that worked. We're done. We're out of here. We're finished. Right. What's my big secret? It's still secret at the moment. There's two of them. Well, there's three actually. But I think we're going to one. We'll talk about one soon. Maybe. Could happen. Right, that's it for today. Thank you very much for tuning in. The C40-8W is available now to pick up from the usual place that you pick things up. If that were not all, the BR heavy freight pack from the Preserved Collection is now available as well. That's gone out. The Steam Autumn Sale has gone live. So you can pick up a whole bunch of things for less than you would normally pick them up. We're going to tempt you to spend more cash. Happy to help. If you're on console, the Black Friday sales for both consoles kick off, I would imagine, on Friday, but they might have started already. You never know. And we're in that too. One of those rare console sale moments is about to befall you.
Fill your boots.
Which is nice. Hold on, I've got to get through all of Mike's important messages. What else we got going on? The Livery Designer Contest. I said the prize wrong earlier on. It's not the base game and a route. The prize is a route DLC and a Loco DLC of your choice. Steady on. With second prize, of which there are two of them, being less than that. Okay, so but we've seen some really tremendous stuff, and you will probably get a shot of fame.
Yeah, really impressive stuff.
Matt, only one of us is allowed to be dismissive, and you know that's the bit I like doing. We're looking into hold on. We're looking into problems that AMD users are having at the moment. We are very much aware of the feedback you've been giving. It is under investigation. We're looking for commonalities. If you are playing on PC and you are using AMD graphics or processor, and you have a crash of some description, particularly if it happens in the same place over and over again, please do get in touch so that we can help narrow down our investigation quickly. The more information we get, the faster we'll be able to solve that. Also, we are aware on Xbox that there is a problem accessing the Class 52 and the Class 33. We've already developed we've got the fixes done for those, and they should be going out soon. I haven't got a better answer than soon, other than that they're ready. I think they're just in the deployment pipeline or something like that. As soon as we've got more information, we'll pass that along. There you go. This is like full service announcement type behaviour. Meanwhile, this was all buying me time while I got to this post on the forum. Tomorrow evening, you will be joined by Natalie and Jamie, who will be doing the Bakerloo line on Train Sim World 2.
Fun.
Yeah, there you go. So thanks very much for tuning in today. Matt, you're driving, so it's goodbye from me.
It's goodbye from me. Thank you very much, everybody.
There you go.
Take care.
There you go.
Bye-bye.